What are we talking about today?
So today about design and construction week, and it's a recap of Las Vegas
Yeah,
event.
exactly. It was last week, January 31st through February 2nd in Las Vegas. And so I've always used the terminology Remodeler show, but it's now Design and Construction Week, and they were celebrating the 10th anniversary of this, which of course I didn't really know that, but I figured it out now. It only took me 10 years.
Wow.
I spent, yes, the majority of the week in Las Vegas, and wanted to just bring you some of the highlights of the show. What are people saying from across the country, across the world, really? Met people from all different parts of the world were at the show, and also maybe tell you about a couple of neat things that are coming up as far as new products and services, specifically with one of the companies that a lot of our clientele uses. So
And if
let's
you,
get started, shall we?
yes, and if you can share about the parties and the behind the scenes there.
I
Yes.
didn't do much partying, but there was lots of parties to be had there. This is a couple of pictures from the International Builder Show Facebook page. So what you need to know is there was over 200,000 attendees. So they did set an attendance record, and I think there was more. This was the most attendees since 2008, which is when the market was in its heyday before the Great Recession, when the housing market crashed. So there's 5 different shows that go on during this week. International Builder Show, and that drew roughly 70,000 builders from around the world. Then there was the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show. So this is anything and everything to do with kitchen and bath. So all of the products that are used for kitchen and baths, they were there on the show floor, all the manufacturers. You also had a lot of designers there as well. In addition to that, there was something called the International Surfaces Event. So one of the days I'm riding over to the show in the shuttle bus, and the gentleman next to me I'm talking to is from China, and his company produces surfaces like shower surfaces and bathroom vanity surfaces. So he was there at that International Surfaces Event, and his company in China had a booth set up as well. He was based in New York. And then the 5th show was the Las Vegas Winter Market, and that is a furniture show. So that again drew designers from all over the world to come look at what is the latest from manufacturers for furniture in the winter for Las Vegas. So a couple other pictures here. This is just an outdoor. So it's enormous. Las Vegas, a convention center. They've added on another wing called the West Wing. And that's what's really, of course, it's only Las Vegas. So in order to connect the West Hall with the rest of like the North, Central, and South halls, what they did is they built an underground freeway. And I say underground freeway, literally it's 4 lanes wide. And they have this fleet of Teslas. So when you get off from your shuttle bus, you go hop in a Tesla. The Tesla takes you through this underground freeway and will take you over to the other convention center. These Teslas just go back and forth all day, running people around, and like that's if that's not Las Vegas, I don't know what is.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah,
Yes.
it really was neat. So this is an example of one of the outdoor vendors that was over at the North and Central Hall compound, where they have a lot of outdoor vendors that are showcasing their things, and of course there's food there as well. Next here, we're showing again a lot of the vendors that came, they brought games. So this is somebody, tape measure, and you had to walk backwards on this 2x4 without falling off, to measure it off and keep your tape measure on the 2x4. This is some of the entertainment that was going on. So they had a lot of shows. Of course, since it's Las Vegas, a lot of live music and shows that specifically for builders. Some of the new products are coming out there. So there was over 1 million square feet of vendors that were showing off their latest and greatest products. And you can get lost, I mean, literally lost on the show floor looking at all these products. They do a pretty good job of putting people, creating maps, and they have an app that you can use on your phone to navigate around. And then they take and they'll segment the vendors sort of by what they are. In this case, it was a tool manufacturer, showcasing their stuff. And then they had live demonstrations, as they're building stuff. You can see here they're using laser levels right here to install cabinetry and to help keep things plumb and square as they're going in. And then why I was there, of course, was for the educational events. There was over 100 different educational events, all sorts of different tracks. I presented in the custom home and remodeling track. But they were very well attended. Our event had, we were standing room only for our event. I think there were plus people there in our room. And it was really fun to see, also catch up with clients and see people in and around the industry as well.
Love it.
Yeah, it was really neat. A couple of the highlights I saw. Builder Trend is a software company that a lot of our clientele uses. So Builder Trend a couple of years ago acquired Co-Construct, and this is all about project management software. Well, they were down there. They now have acquired 2 more companies. So they acquired a buying group where you can become a member of that buying group and buy all your materials through that company and buy them at a discount. This required a financial services company as well. So Builder Trend is really, they have 1,000 employees right now. They are really becoming one of the biggest players in the industry as it relates to construction management, production management, and now, of course, they're getting into material buying as well as financial services, with managing accounting for home builders and remodelers. So that was neat to see their booth. It was crazy busy. Some of the market updates that I noticed, they are mixed. It really depends on what part of the country you are in. We saw, for the most part, remodelers are pretty busy, but a lot of it is backlog with work. Definitely new opportunities have dropped off. The other thing that we noticed is that, certain parts of the country, there's a lot of cancellations. Especially in the lower price points, where interest rates went up, and so it affected those people that were more sensitive to payments in the lower price point. So these people have been waiting a long time to have their home built, and while that happens, the rates go up, and then they can't afford it, so they cancel. So this builder that went from having a real long backlog, this was in New Mexico, of homes, all of a sudden now ended up with a lot of spec homes, which they have to complete the homes they started building and try to sell them on the market. So they've seen a lot of cancellations. But inventory overall is still pretty low, which was interesting to see. More or less, that was the same story across the country. So I would say the outlook for 2023 is, if it's not pessimistic, I think most people feel like it's going to be a worse year than 2022. Where you are and the type of product or home or remodeling services you provide will probably determine how much worse that is, but not many expect it to be better than 22. And the last half of 22 was pretty quiet when interest rates started to go way up. I think it's more like 2024, maybe 2025, that I think like we'll get through this trough here. And how much the market's correct is really based on how much they went up when things were red hot. So the markets that went up and up and up, and maybe where that demand has leveled off, those are seeing more of a price correction. The markets that maybe went up, but not just overly dramatically, where there still is demand there and inventory is low, those markets probably won't see as much of a price correction. But overall, I would say everybody, the one underlying theme that I heard loud and clear was that it's harder to generate high quality leads right now. That was the underlying theme. Every price point, remodelers, home builders, custom builders, semi-custom, it didn't matter. Everyone was struggling with generating high quality leads. So we will be focusing on that here as we go forward, is one of our topics, talking about, we're going into the next series here, where we will be discussing why builders are losing sales. And so we're going to break it down from the very front end, from a marketing standpoint, all the way back to like fulfillment and follow through. As next, we're going to be doing a webinar here shortly as well, where I'm going to be doing an encore presentation of the program I presented at the Builder Show. And that was called Bidding Custom Homes and Remodeling Jobs turning estimates into a revenue stream. Really, really successful program. Some great stuff there. We got really good feedback on it. So we're excited to bring that to you. And then we will be doing another interview with Russ Stevens here from the Association of Professional Builders very shortly. He will be revealing some of the preliminary results that they received from their annual State of the Residential Construction Industry survey. So they call it the SORCE survey. And this is where they interviewed 1,000 different builders from Australia and the United States, and just asked them questions in 8 different categories. So we will be diving into the advertising, the marketing, and the sales process categories, and looking at where they're doing well and also where things are not going so well. I can tell you that high quality leads are at top of mind for these builders. That was the #1 issue these guys are facing. So that's one of the things we've spent a lot of time talking about at the International Builders Show, and we'll talk about that again at our upcoming webinar, and that's going to hopefully be a week from today.
Nice.
So we'll be presenting that. Yeah, so that was a quick and dirty recap. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Diana, I wish you could be there. Maybe next year.
Yes, me too. Yes.
Come to Las